you might be, welcome to the Same Old Arsenal podcast, episode number 84. 2 wins on the spin. Absolutely loving it. 6 points out of the first 2, which is nice. The first time we've won our first two opening games. First time we've won both of them in 10 years. Would you believe? Absolutely unbelievable. Joining me this evening, as you can see on screen, is Dan. How are you, sir?
I'm very good, thank you, Craig. I've kind of had a 2-day hangover, I think, mate, after the old result on Saturday. Half 12 kickoff. I was in the pub at 10. I was thinking, bloody hell, this ain't going to go well, is it? But 10 o'clock in the evening, I thought, 12 hours is enough. I need to get some sleep now. But I'm feeling fresh as a daisy now, mate. Ready for this.
That's good. That's good. Lee will be with us shortly. But unfortunately, he's been held up. So he will be with us as soon as he gets home. He's going to jump on the computer and he'll be here. So should be here in the next 15 minutes or so.
He's having a back massage, isn't he? That's what he's having.
Probably. He's probably on the way home. He's having one of those, gone to one of those dodgy houses or something like that. No, not really. I'm only joking. Lee, he was at the cricket yesterday, so at least we don't have to hear his cricket stories.
Oh, no.
It'll be too late for all that. Remember, if you'd like to have a bet at the weekend, we are partnered with FansBet. The link is down below in the description. If you do any bets at the weekend or anything like that, you might take a look at the app. And if you like what you see, use it. Every time you make a bet, you will be helping children in Great Ormond Street Hospital. That is the people who we send the money to that we make from the partnership. So it goes straight to charity and straight to Great Ormond Street Hospital. So every time you have a bet, you're helping them. You're helping the kids. So it's all good. We don't get none of the money. Everything goes to them. Dan, 2 wins is nice. Nice, like I said, first time we've done it in 10 years. Win both our opening games. What did you think of the game at the weekend?
Yeah, I was very, very impressed, very pleased. I'm not sure if that's a good thing to be shouting about, that we have had the best start in 10 years, but we'll take it anyway. 2 wins is 2 wins. And I was quite nice to see us top of the league for a bit. At least we could shout that out for a bit. I haven't said that for a while, have we? But no, in all seriousness, the game was a good game. We know what we're going to get with Burnley. You know, they always come with the same game plan, don't they? They're quite physical. And to be fair, they had some chances and it nearly worked out for him in a couple of chances. I think Wood and Barnes complement each other well. But as far as we're concerned, I was very impressed with every single one of the Arsenal lads. I didn't think anyone had a bad game. I was really impressed with our back line. I thought that David Luiz really looked commanding at the back and was organising and looked to me like he could be up for one of Emery's 5 captains that he keeps going on about. Complimented Socrates pretty well, actually, because I was worried about what Harry said last week about him being quite sort of aggressive, and pair of them. I actually thought they played quite well against the physical side, which is always important. And I was really impressed with the fullbacks, actually, Maitland-Niles and Monreal going forward. I thought Monreal, that's one of the best games I've seen him have in a long time. And Maitland-Niles was very good as well. I must mention Len. I don't want to leave him out because I thought I know the goal was the chance was offside, but that was a hell of a save he made in the first half.
Absolutely.
I thought that was top draw. And then we move on to the midfield, and there's nobody else to talk about really than Dani Ceballos, is there? I mean, he was outstanding. I can't think of a better debut. Can you? That is
absolutely
Arsenal,
not.
Really?
I mean, I tweeted Real Madrid to tell him that he's overrated, that he's a load of rubbish.
We don't want to buy him.
We'll just give you 20 million now. Look, we'll take him. We might, we'll take him. Like, we might as well, as he's here.
Absolutely.
20 million should do it.
It looks to me like Unai Emery's brought Santi Cazorla back and kept Aaron Ramsey and put him into one player, doesn't it? I mean, he looks. Someone said to me that he looks like Santi with Aaron Ramsey's engine, and I can't disagree. I think he looks top draw, technically gifted, very good on the ball, loves the ball, and always looking for the ball. When he gets the ball, always driving forward, and I think that's going to be important for us. I think he kind of did play better in the number 10 role, but he certainly could do a job as a number 8 as well. And Guendouzi and Willock, I think he made them come into the game more as well. And I don't think you can underrate the 2 strikers up front. We rely on them to a lot. And again, they pulled it out of the bag. 2 fantastic goals. Lacazette, his goal kind of sums Lacazette up. The fact that he held the ball up, swivels, turns, and that's what I think his strength is as a striker. He's a strong kind of physical striker. And Aubameyang's goal, I mean, this guy just, I can't believe how good the guy is. Now is that 34 goals in 51 games?
Yeah, that's it.
Like
Yeah, and some people wanted to sell him to make money for Zaha.
Well, I can't understand how that is logical. I really can't understand that. I mean, if we lost his goals, Zaha wouldn't replace his goals.
No,
Zaha's a good
absolutely.
player. I do like Zaha, don't get me wrong, but he's not. And if we were going to sell him, they're talking about going to Man United. You think,
No,
can't deal with that.
I mean, I hope the rumor. I think the rumor was that him and Lacazette had signed new long-term contracts. So I'm hoping, has that come out yet? Is that official?
It's official if you look at some Sky sources. Some sources, but it hasn't been official on Sky Sports or on the Arsenal website. And until it's on that, we won't say we 100% believe it. But the rumours are that Lacazette until 2022 and Aubameyang till 2021. That's the rumours we've heard. They both look fairly happy at the club, so let's hope they sign the deal soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're not playing like players who are unhappy, are they? Certainly not. Yeah, Ceballos at the weekend. I mean, I'm just hoping we can. I'm just hoping we can do something with him. I'm hoping that we could persuade him to stay here. He looks really, really happy. So passionate as well when he made that tackle, and he made the tackle that obviously went on to set up the goal. And when the goal was scored, he celebrated with the crowd like he'd scored it himself.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, God, I hope we can do something with Real Madrid there to keep him here. There's a lot of what do you make of the fans? I mean, there's a lot of fans from other clubs saying that he's using Arsenal as a stepping stone, and that's all he's doing. So my answer to that was great. Let him come here and use us as a stepping stone. He's welcome here. Some other clubs seem to be trying to use that as a point of Mickey take, Dan.
The problem I've got with that is when people say stuff like that, normally that indicates that they're quite jealous because they actually think we've got a player here, and so do I. You say stepping stone, he's already at Real Madrid. I mean, where does he want to go then from there? Is he trying to get back to Madrid as a number one player? I don't know. But for me, I don't know how much Zidane does rate him, because I said on here a couple of weeks ago that apparently he doesn't want to lose him, but somebody I was speaking to yesterday says that Zidane doesn't rate him, and if he does stay, then we're probably going to keep him. So I don't know what to believe, really. If Zidane rated him that highly and thought, I don't want to lose this kid, then I wouldn't have thought he would have probably wanted him to go, looking at their other midfield. But we'll see what happens this season. It is only his couple of games in it, so, but he's certainly been exciting.
Absolutely. I mean, look at this here. I mean, Mourinho said that Ceballos is not what Arsenal needs. I mean, come on, he's everything we need. After that,
I can't say I ever agree with Jose Mourinho, though. Let's be honest.
Absolutely.
I mean, Jesus, unique 78, 79. Ceballos is absolutely tasty. Totally agree. I mean, totally agree.
I mean, this from Karen then. Craig, what did you make of his first game interview? I loved it when he said it was the most special day of his life. If that's not an Arsenal player, Dan, I don't know what is.
Well, let's be honest, you talk about the passion, and it did, because he was right, that's where I sit, in that corner on the North Bank by the corner flag, right, block 5, and he came right over and he was celebrating like he scored. But what you have to do is remember the Lacazette goal. He was the first one screaming and shouting when Lacazette scored as well, running up to him, screaming, trying to jump on him, So if that player is a player that, is an Arsenal player, I don't know what is, because I think that's just what we need. And for me, he is an Aaron Ramsey replacement plus more, and has the potential to be a little bit like the Spaniards that have been here previously. And I think that's an interesting point, is how many Spanish players have come to Arsenal and not been amazing. We've seen Fabregas, we've seen Sanchez come from Spain, we've seen obviously Santi Cazorla, who I've mentioned as well. Even Monreal has been consistent for Arsenal. And this kid, if he's going to follow Santi or Cesk's footsteps, I'm excited, mate. 100%.
Absolutely. What did we make of David Luiz's debut? I thought he played very well. He gave me a lot of confidence seeing him in there. He looked like he enjoyed himself. And again, after the game in his interview, he said that he could have stayed at Chelsea and just been comfortable, but that's not what he wanted to do. And he knew that as soon as Arsenal were interested, there was no waiting. He wanted to come here straight away to continue playing football. Now, whether that's something he said because we want to hear that, or if he has said that from, because he means it. I mean, that's the kind of thing you want to hear from players, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I believe what you want off the pitch, but certainly on it on Saturday, I saw a leader, I saw someone commanding, I saw someone talking at the back, and you got to remember that Socrates was seen as that character last season, so he's not come and been shy of that, has he? He's not kind of taken a step back and let Socrates do the talking. This is a player we got here with experience, and in my opinion, will be a good signing. You always know that David Luiz has got an error in him. And I don't expect that to change at Arsenal, but I do believe there's more positives than negatives with David Luiz. And for me, he had a fantastic full debut on Saturday, no doubt.
Yeah, when he signed, I was delighted when he signed. It's a stopgap signing. I can see the signing for what it is. Next year you're hoping that Holden's going to be 100% fit. Saliba comes back from St Etienne. Chambers is going to have a season under his belt. Bellerin will be back. Kieran Tierney's going to be in that back line as well. So I mean, even looking, we're only 2 games into this season, but looking that far ahead, what a lovely back line we're going to have.
Mate, there's some serious depth in this squad now, and if you can add another centre back in that, if we do get one in January or the summer, let's say it is Upamecano, if you can have Saliba coming back, Rob Holding, who I still do rate. You said Bellerin and Tierney. That's still a young backline going forward, and but experienced as well as young, if you get me. Because Bellerin and Tierney are certainly experienced with what they played European wise and obviously internationally, and the back markers as well. David Luiz for 8 million is a bargain. I don't care what anyone says. He's experienced. He was Chelsea's best defender last year. Chelsea's best defender last year, and we've taken him for 8 million. And if he can do a job there and be better than what we had in Koscielny last year, certainly be more consistent, let's hope, with his injuries, then I think it's a great signing. Absolutely.
I want to talk about Reece Nelson. I thought he was okay at the weekend. What do you make of him?
Unfortunately, I think I've expected a bit too much from Reece Nelson. I need to be realistic about him. He's still a young lad, and he's still got a lot to learn, and I think that's clear to see. I feel he's quite a safe player, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Sometimes it's a good thing because they don't make no silly errors, which we haven't seen from him. Sometimes it's a bad thing because you want to see risk takers. I mean, Martinelli, when he comes on, does look like he's a bit more of a risk taker. I think that Reece Nelson has got it in his locker. He's certainly a wide player, that's for sure. But I felt out of all of the Arsenal players on Saturday, he was probably the one weakest. And I could see why he'd come off, to be fair, because I just didn't see enough from him. And I think there's still time. This kid will get a chance, and I hope he takes it because he's highly, highly rated by a lot of media pundits and a lot of football managers. So, Hoffenheim last season did him the world of good. I think he needed a run of games, and Emery's given him trust, and that's what Emery does. He does give players a chance, doesn't he? Arsene Wenger always did it. Emery seems the same. And let's see what Reece Nelson can do, because I think he's got everything in his locker to be a good winger. I really do.
Absolutely. And of course, Pepe came on. And what did he come on for 20 minutes? And for them 20 minutes, I was really, really impressed with the kid. I can't wait until he's fully fit. And all guns blazing. I mean, what that piece of skill he done there. He just ruined that fella's career. Whoever it was, absolutely ruined him. I mean, if I was that fella, I'd never show my face again on a football pitch.
No.
It was an amazing piece of skill, showing us just a little bit of what this kid is all about. Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe, Reece Nelson. When he gets into gear, we're talking about defenders, but for the future, the attack as well. I mean, we're starting to look a bit balanced, Dan.
I think so, mate. I think so. And the way that he nuts, I think it was Goodmanson, wasn't it, Pepe? It was just outstanding.
Ben Mee, I think.
Was it Ben Mee?
Yeah.
Sorry, Goodmanson. Okay, Ben Mee, sorry. Unbelievable bit of skill. And I think when you look at what he has potentially, that front three could be pretty epic. I mean, there's rumours that they might go with all three against Liverpool. I don't know whether they're all 100% fit. but certainly that's what everybody wants to happen. I think everybody wants to see that front three in action. You mentioned it, that we've got a real good front three, but also some other options for us now in Nelson, Martinelli, Saka, still young lads. Saw Smith Rowe scored an absolute wonder goal last night.
Absolutely, yeah, it was a great goal.
See that?
And
Absolutely
Eddie,
superb.
Eddie out on loan as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's starting, is he, Eddie? He scored the other night for the League Cup games, but is he playing for the league as well? I'm not sure.
I don't think he started at the weekend, did he?
I think Bamford's playing, isn't he?
I think it's still a good loan. I think it's still a good place to go, and especially with the manager there. He likes a young player, so I'm hoping that he does get game time, because I've still got a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? I've still got a lot of hope for him, Eddie Nketiah. I really have. What do you reckon on him?
I'm a big fan. I saw him not last season, the season before, where he scored against 2 goals against Norwich.
Sorry, now he came on at half time and scored a goal. There you go.
There we go.
That's 2-2.
That is 2-2. I should be watching him, really. That's my bad. No, cheers for that. I think when it comes to Eddie Nketiah, he's a little bit of a Jermaine Defoe and Wright type fox in a box, isn't he? He's a finisher, and if he can be half as good as those two, I'll be well happy. But when it comes to Eddie, I'll always remember the 2 goals he scored against Norwich in the League Cup, where he kind of made his name really at the Emirates, and the fans loved him. And I don't think any fan will forget that. And I think they're all rooting for him. And I think the loan move's great coach to learn under. And if he's getting game time and scoring goals, then listen, that's perfect all round, isn't it?
Absolutely. Look who's just turned up. There. Here he is, Lee.
Here he is.
Can you hear us? His camera's not on. His microphone's not on.
I told you, he's still getting his massage, mate.
Oh, he's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Oh, that device is not connected. 1 sec. Right, do you know what we're going to do? We're going to ring him live.
Go on then, let's do it.
Let's ring him.
Hello, the judge speaking.
Oh, hello. You're live on the Same Old Arsenal podcast. How are you?
Oh, thank you very much. I'm all right, thank you very much.
That's good. Can you turn on your camera and turn on your microphone?
I'm trying to do that at this moment in time.
Right. Do you think
leave it with me?
Okay. We'll carry on then.
Carry on with the podcast. I'm listening. So and then.
Oh, right. Well, we don't really want you to listen. We want you to take part.
I'll be in as soon as I can work out this.
Okay, go to settings.
Hold on. Go to settings.
Go to settings. Select your camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not doing it, is it? I've already tried it.
If anyone's asking, everyone wondering who the girl is, that's Michelle, Lee's PA. We'll get him in a second anyway. It's
all right, we'll get on it.
Just refresh it, Lee. Refresh it.
Okay.
Lee Judges, ladies and gentlemen, having technical problems as usual. Where were we? We were talking about Eddie, weren't we?
Yeah, we just.
Well, let's say. While I'm hoping Lee's going to come in any minute now. Hello to everyone in the chat box. How are you? Thanks very much for coming to and spend your Monday evening with us. 129 of you there. So hello to you. Hello to you all if you're watching us on replay on YouTube, and of course, hello to you all if you are listening on iTunes or Spotify. Thanks very much for your support, because I know there's a good few of you who just prefer to listen on audio. Getting good plays on the audio, always over 2,000 a week. So that's really cool. Last week, I think we missed the like target. I think we missed it by about 200. We've got
that's not too bad.
800 likes on that video, I think. Record viewers last week and record likes, but only because you all wanted to see Judges.
Yeah.
Or because you wanted to get Judges to get David Luiz on his shirt. Let's bring this one in. Unique 79. Craig and Dan. Aubameyang is wasted on the wing. What can we do to accommodate him and Lacazette together? They would be absolutely lethal. Unique, I have to agree with you. I think the only formation we could play to get both of them in would be a 3-5-2. 3 defenders, 3 centre halves, 2 wing backs, 2 defensive midfielders, Ozil in the middle, and them 2 up front. But I don't think that's a formation that Emery is likely to play. He seems to like this 4-3-3, doesn't he, Dan?
Yeah, it's kind of like this 4-2-3-1, doesn't he? Which he used to play at Seville and PSG. The only other way I can see it, because I agree with you, Craig, in the 3-5-2, is a 4-4-2 with Lacazette and Aubameyang, and then you can still have Pepe and whoever you want, really, on the wing. Whether you play Ozil out wide or whether you keep Nelson and Martinelli and rotating them with Saka, and then you can kind of have either two holding like a Torreira and Luiz if he wants to play there, or Torreira and Ceballos. So that's the way I see it. I think it will be Aubameyang on the wing because I think everyone's so excited about this front three, which then obviously pushes Aubameyang out wide. I don't mind him out wide. But I do prefer him up with Lacazette. I do have to agree with him there, 100%. But I mean, listen, we have got the squad hopefully to rotate, and we may see a few games of two up front. We may see a few games with three up front. But yeah, in an ideal world, I'd rather see Lacazette and Oba together, 100%.
Do you think we could beat Liverpool at the weekend? I think we can. I think we can beat them. And after the last two games I've seen of them, I reckon we can give them a right good go. I don't think it's going to be another 5-1.
No.
I don't think they're going to. I don't think they'll hammer us. But I'm really, really confident we can go to Anfield at the weekend and get a result. What about you?
I think we'll score goals, 100%. They've got Adrian in goal, which is obviously a weakness for them because Alisson's injured. I don't think they've looked too amazing at the back, Liverpool. However, I don't know how reliable we'll be at the back. And I have to be a little bit pessimistic and say that I think Liverpool might still be just too much for us. I would take that. I would take a 1-1 now because that's my opinion on how good I rate Liverpool and City. And I know we've had two good games, but they haven't been 2, 3 or 4-0 games. So for me, although I feel we'll score, I do feel we'll concede as well. I think that their front three is wicked in it, Craig. Do you know what I mean? So,
it is. But no one can say that they've been great. I don't think. I mean, they've played Norwich, and they beat Norwich, and they played some really, really nice stuff. Very simple but effective football, and cruising it at half time, 4-0 up at half time. But I won't look into that too much. They were playing Norwich at home, a team that had just come up from the Championship. No disrespect to Norwich, but a team that you would expect Liverpool to be turning over. Watch them at the weekend against Southampton, and for both games, Norwich could have quite easily had a couple before Liverpool scored, and Southampton could have easily had a couple, if not more, before Liverpool scored. So I'm just my thoughts are going around in my head that if Laka or Aubameyang or Pepe or can put a couple away early to give these a scare, would Liverpool crumble? If we got one, maybe two early.
I think if we get 2 early goals, they might. I think last year proved that 1 goal wasn't enough because they beat us by 4 or 5. Was it 5-1? Wasn't it?
5-1, yeah, on my birthday.
Yeah. Oh no, terrible birthday present, mate. For me, mate, I feel that we'll score goals because I feel that we have got enough up top to score goals. My worry is just at the back. What I will say about that, however, is our back four last year, correct me if I'm wrong, was Maitland-Niles, Lichtsteiner, Kolasinac, Mustafi and Koscielny. None of those are going to be playing. I mean, Maitland-Niles probably will, but that's it, isn't it? So we've got a new look defence now, which will have Nacho back, who's better as a left back than Kolasinac, in my opinion. Obviously, the Luiz and Socrates partnership, and Maitland-Niles. So for me, I look at it and think if we can keep ourselves tight defensively, and I don't mind about this playing plan B or whatever people are trying to say and play differently against Liverpool. If we can keep ourselves solid and play the same attacking style football, there's no reason why we couldn't play the old score one more than you football. My problem is that we're not going to go there and trounce them. I would hope that we won't get trounced ourselves. And that's what I'll say about the game.
Let's just see if we can get him in. Lee, can you hear us? Lee, can you hear us? Lee.
Come on, Lee.
Can you hear us, Lee? I can hear him really faintly.
Yeah, he's trying to talk.
Yeah,
Isn't
I can hear him really faintly, but unfortunately, I can't hear him. No, he's gone again.
We'll get there.
We'll carry on. Yeah, so Liverpool. I think I think we can win. I think, and I'm really confident. Yeah, I'm actually confident going up there. I really am. I think it's a good time to play them. Third game of the season. You know, they've had a long. They've had a short pre-season really. If you feel, you know, I don't know. I feel there's something going on at Arsenal. I can see it. I can see it happening, and I really think that 6-7 weeks into this league, we're going to be right up there. You know, I could get shot down at the weekend. We could go up there and get hammered, but I'm really, really confident. This is an interesting one from Danny. Danny, good evening to you, mate. With Danny playing like he is, could this be the final nail in the coffin for Mesut Ozil?
Yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't change the team against Liverpool.
Yeah, I agree.
It's the same team that starts against Liverpool. What would you say on that?
I'd agree with you. However, I don't think it will be the case. I think that Torreira will come back into the side. I feel that he's the reason that he was brought on was to make sure that he had enough minutes to start the Liverpool game. And it wouldn't surprise me if Granit Xhaka came back in because he seems to like him for whatever reason. I don't know how injured he is. I think it was only a knock, wasn't it? So I think he might be back for this game. With Mesut Ozil, I actually do believe that he will be benched for quite a lot of this season. Now, if he does play, I think it will be the League Cup games, the Europa League games even, and I think he'll be that sort of player. There's also rumours that he may be talking to sort of agents flying out to America and stuff like that. So I wouldn't rule out a potential move at some point. But yeah, without a doubt, Ceballos needs to play. So if we're playing Ozil ahead of Ceballos, I don't think fans will be very happy, put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see how he takes this boy's position. I really don't. He's done. You know, don't get me wrong. Now, I'm not hate. You know, I don't want to bring a load of Mesut Ozil hate into it. It's not what I'm getting at. But he's done more than Ozil in 2 games than I've seen Mesut Ozil do in the last 10. So, yeah. You know, he can't be dropped in my opinion. He just can't.
I think the thing with it, Craig, as well, which we haven't really touched on in terms of what the two bring to the team. I think Ozil, we all know what he brings. We've seen him for 4 or 5 seasons now, and he does turn up when he wants to. If it's a home game against Sheffield United or a home game against Crystal Palace, Mesut Ozil will start, and Mesut Ozil will be one of the best players on the pitch. If it's an away game against Man City or Liverpool or Spurs, you won't see the guy who'll be invisible. I think where Dani Ceballos is different is he gives you a lot more energy and a lot more drive. And I don't know if you saw the amount of tackles he put in, the amount of tracking back he did. I think that is just what Unai Emery is after, and I think that fits him better with Unai Emery's philosophy than Mesut Ozil does. And I just feel that I think it could be Mesut's last kind of season with us if he doesn't go in January.
Yeah, this question comes in from Carlito Elguna. Question is, will Pepe start versus Liverpool? God, I hope so. From what I saw at the weekend, I think he could come in for Reece Nelson. Dan, what would you say on that?
I 100% agree. I think it will be Aubameyang, Lacazette and Pepe. I think Ceballos will play behind. And obviously they've got to decide, Emery, what he's going to do with either Torreira and Xhaka or Torreira and Guendouzi. Does he keep Willock in? Willock has been good, I think, as well. So that's going to be the big kind of question mark is who's going to start in midfield. But I would hope that would be the front 4. And we've got to give these players time. You've got to remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Liverpool's front 3 have played together and they know each other inside out. You know, ours is our front 4 or front 3, if you like, is still work in progress, but it's certainly exciting without a doubt.
This one comes in from Wilson. Which midfield pivot should we start against Liverpool? I know I said I didn't want to change it. But I just can't. You know, Ceballos and Guendouzi, they were brilliant at the weekend. But then, Dan, I can see where you're coming from. Would it be Xhaka and Guendouzi starting against Liverpool? What do you reckon?
For me, The answer to that question, Lucas Torreira. He's the guy that, for me, has to start. And I feel that he has brought so much to Arsenal that we've lacked and probably haven't had for 10 years. He's a battler. He is defensive minded. He does put a tackle in. He does seem to be able to have a lot of range in passing on the ball. And he just looks like a player that doesn't give up. You know my thoughts on Granit Xhaka. I wouldn't like to see the guy on the side. I'd much rather see Guendouzi. I'd much rather see Joe Willock. And I'd much rather see Dani Ceballos. And those 4 players, for me, have to get ahead of Granit Xhaka. I can't see that being the case, but that's what I'd be doing. So it would be Torreira for me.
Absolutely, Zod. But I think Zod, he agrees with you. Torreira plus anyone except Xhaka.
Yeah, I'm with Zod 100%.
Poor old Granit. Poor old Granit. Carlito says that Nelson won't start for Liverpool. I don't think he will either.
No, same.
Going back to what I was saying, I think Andrew agrees with me. It's a good time to play Liverpool. Would Emery start Aubameyang and Lacazette? Aubameyang and Lacazette would be nice to see, Dan, away at Liverpool, wouldn't it?
I think so, and I think you hit the nail on the head, and so did you earlier when you said it's a great time to play Liverpool. They didn't have a fantastic pre-season. They've lost their goalkeeper. They are leaking goals, and I don't think their front three as of yet are firing on all cylinders, but they have got time, and they will happen. And they do seem to, all 3 of their players do seem to like playing against Arsenal. I can picture in my head a lot of goals coming in from Mane, Salah, and Firmino. So I think they will be looking forward to it as much as we are. But maybe you're right. It is probably the best time to play Liverpool. They're still trying to get themselves fit as we are. So maybe it's a good time to, and it's good for Arsenal to see how far we are up against these players, because at the end of the league table, I suspect it to be quite a gap between Liverpool and Arsenal. That's just my prediction. And it wasn't the start. I don't want to change that 2 games in. And we'll really see how close we are man v man at the weekend. So I'm looking forward to it, mate.
Here's one here now that's quite interesting. And this comes from Pete. We finished playing Burnley in a 3-5-2. Do you think this is what Unai has planned for Liverpool? God, 3 at the back at Liverpool. God, I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not too. But that's a great question, actually. That really is a good question. If it does happen, then it will be the answer to many a question today, which is who plays in midfield and who plays up top. It will answer the Aubameyang and Lacazette question, because them 2 will play up top, and it will answer who plays in midfield, because there's enough room there for the majority of them to keep their place. So that's a great question. I wouldn't like to see it, because I don't think we should change the way things are going. We've taken 6 points and it's working at the moment, so don't change it up too much is my advice. But you never know with Unai Emery. It can.
Well, this is it.
It.
This is it. I mean, I think Joel C. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Says he wants to see Willock at number 10. Danny is in here again. I think now Torreira is back. Danny is ready, and Laka is back. The kids will take a back seat. So Danny's saying that we're going for more experience against Liverpool. Obviously, if no one, Danny runs a great podcast, the Bergkamp Wonderland. Please go over and subscribe to them. Follow them on Twitter, etc., etc. A brilliant podcast. One of the originals, and one that actually inspired me to start podcasting. So go over and subscribe to the Bergkamp Wonderland.
Cheers, Danny.
Thank you, Danny. Here we go. Can we see any more questions here? Here we go. Unique 79 again with another question. Craig and Dan should. I think we've come to that one. Craig, should Pepe start against Liverpool? Yes. Pretty hard. pretty. Here we go. What's this one? Here we go. This is from Gary. I'd start LT, Lucas Torreira, and Ceballos with Willock at number 10 in midfield. Lots of energy and press to counter Liverpool's hard-working ethic. Sorry for the spelling. No problem, mate. No problem at all. Let's see if we can get judges in here. Judge? No.
You're
very faint.
Can't see you either.
No. Your microphone's not working either, mate. Ever since I've gone to this new gadget, it's all gone tipped up. We'll take it out then.
Better now.
Yeah. Oh,
you're gone. But we heard you for a bit.
Oh, Lee.
Oh dear. Just coming back to that question, Craig, the Lucas Torreira, Willock and Ceballos thing, I think that probably would be my pick for midfield, if I'm honest with you. I like Guendouzi. I think he's been fantastic. I think that the Lucas Torreira coming back in, I think that it will probably be Willock that misses out, but I think that I'd probably keep him in just for the energy that I think he'll bring. So yeah, maybe it will be that free as suggested by Danny.
Yeah, and Bill, I think he agrees with you, mate. I'd like to see Luiz. He'd like to see David Luiz next to Torreira in midfield against Liverpool. That's a great shout.
This is what I said. This is what I said, didn't I? Do you remember last week when I said that he can move into DM? And I've always said that he was a defensive midfielder. A lot of people have said that no, he's a centre back, can't play in defensive midfield. Well, I saw him a couple of times for Chelsea in defensive midfield and really rated him. And I feel that would then make a move for either Chambers or Holding to get a run in the team. So Luiz and Torreira for me is better than Xhaka and Torreira.
Sorry, mate. I'm
that's all right, mate.
Texting this numpty here now.
Trying to get Lee back on.
Trying to get him in. Don't look like we're going to get him in this evening.
We'll see. We'll see.
We shall see. Yeah, if you're watching us live, please hit that like button. The like button, do you know what? The like button is really, really important. The more likes we get, the more up the... What's the word I'm looking for?
Up the charts we get.
Up the charts, yeah, up the charts. When people type in Arsenal, we'll be up on the suggested videos, higher ranked on the suggested videos. So if you could all hit the like button in 3, 2, 1. Like sound effect?
I did like the sound effect, mate.
Thank you very much indeed.
Cheers, guys.
Let's have a look for some more. Yeah, Dan. There you go. Rankings.
Hey, rankings. That's what we're looking for. Cheers, Danny.
Unique says it's Craig and Dan. I'm worried about going up against Aitley. He's worried. Yeah, worried about. Yeah, I would be too. He's back again. Can we get? Hello. Hello.
Something wrong, Michelle. There's something wrong with it. It didn't happen last time.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Hello.
No one's used the fucking computer.
Oh.
Right. They can hear you. Whatever going on there, they can hear what we were saying. They're all laughing. So something's not right.
I can hear you, Lee.
It's working now. Can you fucking hear me?
I can. Yes.
Your camera's not working, but we can hear you, mate.
Hello. Hello. All we need now is the Benny. Oh, he's gone again. All we need now is the Benny Hill music.
You're not wrong, mate. You're not wrong.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Unreal.
Do you know what? Right, I'd say that's probably true. Dro to go in the
Do you know what? Yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it? It seems that way.
It seems it does. It does. A bit. Burkamp Wonderland is a great podcast. Yes, it is. As I have. Please go over and subscribe to him. I'm a bit put out tonight. I've got to admit, Dan has taken centre stage very, very well. I have to say.
I'm trying, mate. I don't know what I'm doing.
You really have saved the bacon here. I've been put out tonight because
it's fine. Can I just go back? Can I just quickly go back to that question, Craig, that we didn't answer about Maitland-Niles? Is that all right?
Yes, mate. Go for it.
Just because I don't want to miss any out, really. I do have issues with Ainsley Maitland-Niles as a right back. I do have issues. However, the last 2 games have probably been his 2 best games. What I don't want, and I really don't want, is for things to go wrong for him at the weekend, because I think he's a confidence player and I think it will destroy him. Now, he shouldn't do, because Mane and Salah, whoever he's playing up against, because sometimes they switch around. Normally it will be Mane on that side. He does tear and run rings around a lot of defenders. So I don't want it to affect his confidence if he has a bad game. What I do hope, and sometimes this does happen with defenders or footballers in general, footballers that have a good game the previous season at that ground normally do play well in a confidence thing. It's like a mental thing. And he was the one who scored the first goal, and that gave him a real confidence boost back then. So I hope that he can continue his good form of the last 2 games, because I think Maitland-Niles, there is a player in there. I just don't think he's a right back. And I think Emery must know that, but knows we haven't really got anyone else to play there. Do you know what I mean, at the moment? So it is just a kind of a backfield, isn't it, at the moment, you know?
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. We haven't got anyone else to play there, have we? And I remember people laughing that, I remember people laughing a couple of weeks ago when I suggested that Dani Alves would be a good signing. But obviously, wages. It's not about signing the player anymore, is it? It's about how much we've got to pay him. It would have been a good signing on a free. A natural,
100%.
A natural right back. Hang on. Hang on. Can you hear us now?
Hey!
I better go on here and have a computer here. What's going on here? Like these cheap old mic things you've given me here, rubbish. You know what I mean? So I better go and have a. Sorry about that.
Well, Dan's using his, and I'm using mine.
Well, I've got my technology people on it as we speak. Like, you know what I mean? So
well, welcome, Lee. Welcome
Thank
to
you.
the Same Old Arsenal podcast. Me and Dan have been sitting here answering questions. I've been while I'm texting you, while I'm hearing potty language from Michelle.
Oh no, it's terrible, isn't it? I do apologise for her swearing. I just got the finger as well. It's out of order, like, you know what I mean? This is what happens, like, you know.
Well, how do you think the weekend went, mate? You got 15 minutes. You've got 15 minutes.
15 minutes, brilliant. A good result. Good performance. In patches, I thought it was a very good performance. There were times when we looked a bit dodgy at the back, as per normal. But all in all, to get the 3 points, that was the most important thing for us to take on these next 2 games, which is obviously Liverpool and Spurs. So I think that we needed to go into those 2 games with the 6 points. We've got that. How we've got it, does it really matter? No, we've got it, and I was well pleased.
Absolutely. Me and Dan have been talking about who should start in midfield.
Granit Xhaka.
I wonder why you're saying that. I wonder why you're saying that, mate.
What can I say?
Your new mate. Your new best mate.
I suppose you're going for a pint with him next week, are you?
I don't know about that, like, you know what I mean? But unbelievable that is, you know what I mean? That's for another day. But my midfield, we was actually talking about this today. That's why I'm a bit late today, because I've been filming with Kevin today. And so we've been in London, so it was a bit of a rush back. So, I would probably go with Torreira, Xhaka, or Guendouzi, either one of them two. I'm not too fussy if you two have come that way, and Ceballos as well. I think that we've got to just go a little bit of stability. That is a real tough call on Willock, because I think he's done really, really well. But I just think that we've got to go there and just defend and hit him on the break. That's my motto on this game.
But I think Joe Willock probably, I hope that he'd be professional enough to understand that this ain't a game for him, and the depth that we've got now. Me and Dan were talking about the squad depth now as well. We can do this now. We can actually change it around and go up there with a different, instead of having, like we've been so lackluster. We're going up to Anfield now with players to choose from. We're going up to Anfield now with to put out the best team on the pitch that we can. I've been saying to Dan that I am quietly confident we can get a result up there at the weekend.
Yeah, because I think what we've got now is options, Craig. I think that, if I'll be honest, I think Emery went with because I think Burnley were a physical up front with Barnes and Wood. I think that's why he went with Luiz and Socrates in there, which was a bit harsh on Holding, if I'll be honest, because I felt he was probably the better out of the two up at Newcastle. But, Socrates is probably a little bit more physical, if I'll be honest. And so that's the way he went. And I think that if you're in a squad and you're playing sort of things like that sort of way, well, we're going to look at this team, that's the way we're going to play. Next week it be different. I think players can accept that a little bit more, Craig. If you're just being left out for the sake of it, I'm not so sure. But if you turn around and say to maybe this game on on Saturday there might be a little bit more movement, so it might be a little bit better for Chambers to come in than Socrates because he's got a little bit more movement. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that we've got lots of options in there. But I think what's the key, and if I can bring my mate Shaka into it, what he actually said to me on Saturday was,
did you say anything to him?
Yeah, I had a fantastic chat with him for nearly all. Do you want me to tell you how it went about?
Yeah, I want to know this.
Absolutely.
I want to know. Yeah.
Right, so I gets into my seat and this fella sits down next to me, like, you know, and I looks at him and I think that I said, it looks a little bit like Shaka.
And then he said, "Are you Lee Judges?"
So yeah, well, that's what done it, like, you know what I mean? So then he starts talking foreign to the two guys that he's with, like, you know, and so I looks down and I'm thinking, so where I sit is you can see the benches, you know what I mean, and behind the bench you can see Mesut Ozil there, you can see Mustafi there, and I'm thinking, well, if it's Granit Xhaka, surely he'd be sitting there, like, you know. So you can imagine it for the 10 minutes in the game. I've got my phone like this now. I'm doing a little selfie, but I'm trying to do a little selfie and a little sneaky one of him, so that then I can send it to someone and say, is that Xhaka or is it not? Like, you know what I mean? Because I don't want to make myself look silly, because I'm thinking to myself, it can't be him. Can't be him. So anyway, starts talking foreign, and then there was a little bit of a lapse in the game. I think we'd been 1-0 up by then, and where I was jumping up, going mad, he was just sort of clapping. So I'm thinking, well, I've got no clue. So there was a little bit of breaking play, and he said something. So I just think to myself, right, I'm just going to come out of it and mug myself off. If it ain't him, it ain't him, like, you know. So I said, how comes you're not out there today then, Granit? So he turns around and said, I've got a little bit of a back injury. I'm back in training. It's a little bit of a course. So I said, it's him, you know what I mean? So I said, like, you know, and then we've had a conversation about Emery. We've had a conversation about the squad, what he thinks of different players, referees. I've got great conversation, what he said about referees and what he thinks of a couple of them, certainly what he thinks of Mike Dean. And he was just really open and honest about everything. And I said to him, look, you know...
so what did he say when you said, can you stop being shit, please? What did he say then?
This is what I actually said to him. I said to him, Granit, I think you're a fantastic player. Dan loves you, by the way, so his regards. Now, I actually said, you know, you're a very good player, but you've got to cut out the sloppy passes. You know what I mean? I felt that confident because we was having this great conversation. I felt, well, we can't go anywhere. Fuck it, I'll say it. You know what I mean? So, and he turned around and said, I work in training every day to make myself better. And I thought that was a great thing to say, you know. His exact words from him was, if we don't get top 4 this season, we never will do with the squad we've got. And, you know, and he actually said that we're aiming higher for that. But that's the minimum requirement from us players and all that. And it was a fascinating conversation. And then he talked foreign with his 3 guys. Well, what? So I have to ask the question, Craig. I have to say to him, how comes you're sitting here and you're not sitting down there? He says, I own these 3 seats. So my season ticket now is next to him. So how the hell can I shake him or slag him up no more? I've got like blatant Albanian mafia after me if it goes on this side. You know what I mean? So as far as I'm concerned now, Granit Xhaka, captain, should be playing, doing everything, like, you know what I mean? No. So I said that to him, and you know, he was very, very accommodating. I asked him a question. I said, "Oh, like, you know, do you get recognised when you're up?" He said, "Not very often, because people don't think of me being up here. I just, you know." But when he went out, I said, "Can I have a photo?" Which I did. And then there was a few other people having photos of him. It was for me a fascinating insight to watch a game of football next to a player that's playing for the club. It's a dream, Craig. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And when Aubameyang scored, because the game was getting a little bit tense, you know, he jumped up and there's me and him both celebrating, you know, Aubameyang scoring the goal, you know what I mean, and high-fiving each other, and, you know, it was a fantastic, like, 90 minutes. And the unbelievable thing was he sort of waited for everybody, the crowds, to go, and then you know, he said, I'll see you later, Lee, which is fantastic because he asked my name. Obviously, I knew he is, and he said, "I'll see you up in Liverpool." So yeah, I'll see you up in Liverpool. You know what I mean? It's absolutely amazing, like, you know what I mean, to have that experience and get a little bit of insight into everything. You know, he spoke about referees. He spoke about, you know, what. I did ask him the question, "What do you think of Emery?" He turned around and he says he's absolutely class coach. You know what I mean? So, you know, I don't think he would. I was having a conversation where, you know, that what he said things about the referees. If I think that he was just being honest and open. If he would thought he was crap, he would have said it. You know what I mean? And he believes that he's a good coach. And it was, you know, I've got to say, it was a fascinating thing, but it was a really funny thing because I didn't think at first it was him. You know what I mean? And I had to, you know, bite the bullet and made myself look like silly if it wasn't, but. Yeah, fantastic experience, and
So if he doesn't give the ball away for the rest of the season, Lee, then
down to me,
I
innit?
salute you, mate. I salute you.
Thank you very much. I've told him he's
Absolutely.
got to cut it out. You know what I mean? Like, I was sort of saying how us fans feel about things. You know what I mean? Like what the frustrations of what's happened over the last couple of years. He understood that. He gets that. He says we're, you know, as a squad, we're working hard on it. Like, you know, and one thing that he did, which was a great thing that he said in Danny Ceballos, he turned around and said, because I turned around and said he seems like to be the natural replacement for Ramsey. He said he is. He won't score as many goals as Aaron, but he'll hold the ball and keep the ball a lot more for us. And so, you know, it was a big blow to lose Aaron. He said that, you know what I mean? But in this boy, we've got someone special. And he turned around and he said, Lee, he can only get better. He's had 1 or 2 games at the moment. Just imagine what he's like when he's 5 or 6 games. He feels that he's the real deal. And actually said we've got him for a year, but you know, once you've been at the Arsenal, you want to stay a little bit longer. So hopefully he'll stay. So, you know, some fascinating things that he said to me. I have to say that, you know, and it was a pleasure to be in his company. He was a very, very nice guy. I know he divides opinion. I know that I've criticised him in the past for what he's done, but that is him as a footballer, not as a person. That's the first time I've met him, and you know, he was very, very complimentary about Arsenal, the fans, what he means. You know, I actually said to him, you know, one of the things that bugbearing of an Arsenal fan is that, you know, we go up to Newcastle, it's 5 hours to get there and 5 hours to get back, and 5 or 6 of you boys come up and thank us. And he laughed. He said, you know, well, 5 hours. He says, well, we're on the plane and I'm in 2. You know what I mean? So I said, yeah. So it would be nice if you all come up there. He said, I'll make sure that happens. You know what I mean? So, you know, sometimes they need to be reminded as well. Of what
I'm just about to say, sorry to come into you there now. Sorry to cut you in, but I'm glad you said something like that to him, and I'm glad. You know, I'm not saying that he doesn't know that that people like yourself travel all over the country, and I'm sure he's aware of, you know, all the Arsenal fans that travel. But you know, for him to say 5 hours, you know.
Yeah, I don't think they appreciate that.
Yeah.
What's it? You know, they're on the plane, they're home within a couple of hours. They've got all the luxury. They don't, you know. Listen, they appreciate what us fans go through. You know what I mean? I was speaking to Kevin today. You know, when he played, they appreciate what we go about. That they know that the die-hard Arsenal fans that go home and away, they know that, and the ones that go away from home. But what he was saying was that they understand. You know what I mean? And it's nice that you can talk. You know, I had a little conversation with Claude about this a little while back. I don't really want to get to know any of the current players, because you know, if they do play bad, I want to say that they've played bad. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I've had a lot of grief. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want to put. I actually said I'm not going to put that photo on Twitter because, you know, it would divide. You know, whatever it does. And then you went and put it up, Craig. Thanks for that. Like, you know what I mean? But I feel that I criticise him when he plays badly. If he plays well, I will say that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's how I feel. And I felt that you know, he understood. He understood what I liked about him was and I said to him, can you understand the frustrations of us fans? And yes, I get it. And what he turned around and said, and which is a fantastic thing from me, and, you know, I don't suppose he'd mind me sharing it. He goes, Arsenal are a Champions League club. We know that. And that's what everybody at this club is gearing to. We know that you want it, we want it, and we're going to do everything in our power this season to do it. And when I said that, he then stopped me, put his arm on my leg, which I've not washed since. Anyway, that's another story. Like, and said, but we are aiming higher. So basically, all the things that us fans are saying, you know, they're getting. You know what I mean? Like, and appreciating. And I think that was a great thing. I come away from there thinking, do you know what? You do give away the ball. You're perhaps not as good as what I hoped you to be, but as a person and as a figure for Arsenal, different class. I have to say that, because he didn't have to talk to me. You know what I mean? He might not. You know what I mean? If he finds out that I'm on Arsenal fan TV and criticise him, he might, you know what I mean, move down to the end. If he comes in the next summer and he's free seats, well, I know that I've offended him. You know what I mean? But he sat there, and do you know what I mean? Like, I'm saying things like, you know, like, Socrates, he's got to read that ball, like, you know, and he's nodding his head. Do you know what I mean? So he you know, I think he enjoyed it, that there was a fan telling him how it should be. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what, right? I'm just going to come in here. Look at this.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, listen, Pepe's got a great point there, and I define anybody. That's me included. But if you don't really like a player, if you actually bump into them, you're not going to turn around and, you know what I mean, give them hell as whatever. Like, you know, Kevin made a fantastic point today. You know, what does it take to become an Arsenal player? You know what I mean? Like, you've got to have something to become a professional footballer, and you've got to have something special to become an Arsenal player. And I agree with that. You know what I mean? So he must be after. He's got to be a player to play professional football.
In terms of, you spoke to him for that short period of time. Well, sounds like it wasn't a short period of time. He managed to get through quite a lot. Did you see anything that could answer the question of why he plays every game, why every manager picks him? Was there anything that he said to you, thought, yeah, your mentality, your passion, your desire, your drive, it's all there in to see?
Right. The only thing that I can say about that is not on his play. But I don't know if you remember it. I don't know who went down with an injury. I think it was Caballas. And he laid down. He was like rolling around, and two of the Burnley players come up and they were pointing at him over. Right. I don't know if you remember it. They was over him, giving him some stick and all that. He turned around to me. He went like that to me, like that. They wouldn't do that if I was out there. And I said, I love that.
That's one thing I will say. That's one thing I will say about him.
So he would not allow that to happen. Now, I'm not saying he's the greatest player in the world. I'm not changing my mind from that lot. But I think he has got a little bit of the you know, I have to say, sitting next to him, I thought he would be a bit bigger than what I thought he would be. You know what I mean? He's a good-looking chap. I'll give him that. You know what I mean? Like, but you know, but I can see there's that warrior side.
And he touched your leg, mate.
So he touched my leg as well. But be sitting here watching the game and then just tap me on the shoulder, I wouldn't allow that to happen if I was out there.
That's good to hear, man.
And that was good to hear. You know what I mean? So hopefully, you know what I mean. When I watched, you know, David Luiz on Saturday, for the first time I've seen a centre half bully a centre forward of physical nature in Wood. You know what I mean? So much so that they took him off. You know what I mean? He's caused us all sorts of problems, by the way, in the last few games, but didn't on Saturday because physically
and some people didn't want him here.
Yeah, you know, look, this is only one game, but for me, I looked at that game and I've changed my mind about him. You know what I mean? I thought he was fantastic on the day because he showed a bit about him. There's a little bit of skullduggery about David Luiz. I don't give a monkeys what anybody says, and I think there is that with Granit Xhaka and Kolasinac. So if you ever look at them three there, you know, would you want to go against them in a war? You know what I mean? So maybe like there is a little bit of that mentality coming back to Arsenal. And I'm not saying that he should be captain. I actually said today that, you know, if I had a choice of captain, it would be David Luiz. bit controversial, but not the only reason that I wouldn't give it to him if you said me one reason because he only just joined the club. But I think that he's got all the aspects to be a leader.
Well, I find that quite strange because I didn't want Granit Xhaka to be captain, and after listening to you tonight and listening to the things that he said, I can't see no reason why he can't be captain.
Yeah, I like to think that he don't know who I was. Let's be honest, he doesn't. He just thinks I'm a fan, but he's just telling me as how he sees it, and I was quite prominent about that. You know what I mean? Now, I've spoken to a few Granit Xhaka fans since then, and they've said, "Oh, well, I know you're changing your mind about him." And I said, "No, I'm not changing my mind about it. I want to see him go to Liverpool and boss the game." Now, talking to Kevin today, he said to me, "What about his performance against Liverpool at home? Do you remember in the one? He was absolutely colossus that day.
He was Herrera, unbelievable.
You want to see them do that on a consistent level. Now that's what Granit Xhaka's not been able to do for the entire time he's been here. We know
this is why I've given him some stick, because I want the guy to perform. I want the guy to prove me wrong. But if this was his first year, I'd be like giving him a little bit less stick. You know what I mean? But this is his 4th year now, and I can't give him any more excuses. But listen, I've got no doubt that he's a top bloke to talk to. I've got no doubt that he must have some form of mentality that is decent or positive, because everyone else in management-wise seems to want to play him, and this is what always comes up. And if you're saying the stuff you're saying, fantastic. Let's hope he proves it on the pitch this season.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing is, boys, that he sat there and watched that, and he see on Saturday Willock perform very, very well. He see Quindosi perform very, very well, and obviously he see Ceballos play very, very well. Like that. I mean, so he must be sitting there and thinking, "I've got, I'm not sure on to come in next game." You know what I mean? Like, and I'm be honest, if he's on the bench next week, I wouldn't be surprised because of the performances that those guys are put in. So he's going to have to step up his game, So
it's a great position to be in, Great position to be in.
And I think that is the good thing about Arsenal. I don't know if you spoke about it, boys, but the one thing I would want to say is that going to the game on Saturday for the first time for I can't remember, there was a lot of feel-good factor walking into the stadium. Everybody was buzzing. Everybody seemed to want to be there. It wasn't a chore to be going down the Emirates, and
it was the best atmosphere for a first game I've seen in a long time.
It was, wasn't it? There was something about the game, and I think that I know he didn't have probably one of his greatest games, but Nelson he excited me a little, with some of the things that he'd done. Pepe coming on. Whatever happens, there's going to be some exciting stuff coming down to the Arsenal. Well, I think we're going to get frustrated by the way we play and defend them, but I think that there's some exciting things to look forward to. And if you could get, whether it will happen or not, but Pepe playing to his full potential, Lacazette playing to his full potential, and Aubameyang playing to his full potential on the same day, on the same pitch, listen, we're in for a treat.
Well, when me and Dan were talking, about, I'll bring Dan back in on this one as well. I mean, I was talking about looking, even though we're 2 games into the season, I'm already looking to next season. Bellerin, right back, Saliba, Holding, Kieran Tierney, Leno in goal, a fully fit Pepe, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Nelson with a year under him. Hopefully signing, I'd love to sign Ceballos on a, I'd love to sign him, be 100% Arsenal player. I mean, we've got, I think this season, and I'm glad that Granit Xhaka has been saying that, all the players are on the same wavelength at top 4. I mean, after last season, they must have sat, someone must have sat them in a room and said, "You have fucked this right up." Do you know?
Yeah, I think there's a few players on last saloon there. I do believe that, and. I do believe that, but I'm with you there, Craig. Bring Dan into it. There seems to be a plan. There seems to be something going forward, and as a fan, you think, do you know what? We could be competing. I don't know about you guys, but after a couple of games, I'm thinking maybe not this year, but I can see us challenging Liverpool and maybe overtaking Liverpool in a couple of years. With whether we can get to Man City is a different thing, but I feel I've got hope again. Do you know what I mean? Where every other season, oh well, we might get top four. We're not. I feel there's a little bit of hope there now, and I think that's not just the signings. I just think with everything that's been put in place.
Yeah, I said exactly the same to Dan, didn't I, Dan? When we were talking when we first come on, there's something there for me this season. After I know it's only 2 games, but I can see that there's a little spark there, even after 2 games, and it's the spark we didn't have for the last few seasons, Dan.
This is what I was talking about last week about the Unai Emery philosophy, and Harry kind of disagreed and said he didn't understand the philosophy. Now, if I take you back to last season in terms of who we had on the pitch last season to who we've got on the pitch this season, it's a completely different team. There's hardly anybody from the Arsene Wenger regime now that's still at the club in the starting 11. Now, you look at the players that have come in, like Leno, like Tierney, like Luiz. We've seen Socrates. He's playing holding now as giving him a chance. You're looking at Torreira, Guendouzi, Joe Willock's been brought through, Ceballos. He's got Lacazette and Aubameyang playing together. Pepe is exciting. You go back to last season and see who we were playing, and you started to see it already, but no one really saw it. And it was, he's hooking Mesut Ozil because he's not doing what he's saying. The first time anyone's ever subbed him, the first time anyone's ever called him out, he's saying, if you're not going to do what I'm going to ask you to do, mate, I'll bring in another lad. Ramsey, Xhaka and Ozil, all 3 of them subbed. 3 players that played 90 minutes under Arsene Wenger every single game of the week. He's subbing them. And everyone's thinking, this is refreshing. What's happening here? Then all of a sudden you start to see the philosophy of we start to score goals like Iwobi did against Chelsea away. Then you start to see that Peter Cech can't do what you tell him to do, so he brings Leno in. Then you start to see that Mustafi's not really doing what he's asking, and Koscielny keeps getting injured, so he's putting a partnership of Socrates and Holding together, and we go 22 games unbeaten. Then you start to see more goals going in, like the game that we scored Ramsey's goal against Fulham away. Then you start to see the Lucas Torreira goal against Tottenham. And then you start to see the Mesut Ozil masterclass against Leicester at home when we scored that great dummy that we scored from Lacazette and Aubameyang. And then you start saying, on a minute, this is the philosophy that's working. Now, the only reason that I believe we didn't get top 4 last season was not Unai Emery's fault. It is because the previous players from the regime of Arsene Wenger were still in the club making mistakes, like Mustafi, like El Neni. We saw players like Kolasinac, Xhaka. These players, Mkhitaryan, were all making similar mistakes. And unfortunately, the manager is always the person who gets the blame. So when Harry says that he doesn't understand the philosophy, I think sometimes when you dislike someone, like Harry doesn't like Emery for whatever reason, you start to misunderstand or not see what's right in front of you. And what I saw in front of me was a philosophy, and I can see this working. And we're starting to see these players come into it now. And I really, really hope that we push on for 3rd this season, because I think it'll be a great season for Arsenal. I really do.
One thing that I was so pleased about on Saturday, I don't know if you guys have spoke about it before, was that, you know, Mkhitaryan was awful first half, done all right second half, but I was saying before that game came out, please keep in Nelson, and if you're going to leave somebody out, drop Mkhitaryan. And he did. He left out Mkhitaryan to play Nelson. And I think that was a statement of, like, you know, if you're good enough, you're young enough, you're old enough, or whatever, I'm sticking with you. Now, I don't think Nelson will play at Anfield, if I'll be honest. But that doesn't mean to say that he's been done anything bad. I think it's just that's the way we go. But if he is in at Anfield, I'm not gonna go, oh no. But I think there was too many times last season, Dan, when the team was picked, you look at a player and go, oh no, he's playing. There isn't no one in that team now that I can turn around and go, oh no, if he plays Nelson, oh brilliant. You know what I mean? Like, I can see what he's trying to do. If he's going to bring in Pepe for that game, brilliant. You know what I mean?
And this is the thing,
that's a great thing.
Yeah, this is the thing as well. He's given these players a chance. He's told Mustafi he's got the season. He's not good enough, so he brings Holding in. He's told Mkhitaryan, and he's started him against Newcastle. Then he brings Nelson in. This is what I like. Lichtsteiner brought him as a cover, didn't really do it, so didn't play him for the rest of the season and sold him. He doesn't. Arsene Wenger's strength was his weakness. He had so much faith in players, and he just kept playing them and kept playing them. And we saw it with Bentner. We saw it with Ramsey forcing him out on the right and stuff like like this years ago. He just stuck with it, and you think this is now the time for it's refreshing for Unai Emery to do what I think majority of the fans are wanting. And I know people can say they can't pick an Unai Emery side. I totally get that, and we might not be able to pick the side that he picks on Saturday, but I get what he's doing, and I love the way that he's got people behind the scenes. Edu walking down the North Bank bridge the other on Saturday with the fans. That sort of stuff is refreshing, and the atmosphere was amazing. It just seems like a different Arsenal this season, and I think everyone should be excited.
Yeah. Well, I think what I want to say is as well, not a lot of people talk about this, but, we all said for the last 5 years, 6 years, whatever it was, we all wanted change. We're getting it. But most importantly, we're not just getting it on the pitch. The back room has been totally stripped out and rebuilt as well.
You have to ask yourself, sorry, Dan, you have to ask yourself, like with the Edu thing, now he could drive into the stadium under the thing and no one see him. Why has he done that? Why has he decided to go by train or park his car somewhere and walk through?
Because he's a goner.
Because he feels proud to do that.
Yeah.
I think it's such a refreshing thing. You wouldn't see Gazidis doing that.
Exactly.
Or somebody like that.
He's a goner.
And I think it's a proper that I would love to have met him, you know what I mean? And I shook his hand. But what I'm saying is he gave an opportunity for 600-700 fans to say hello to him. Do you know what I mean? And I think that when is that? Do you know? I think somebody said that. I don't know who said it. I'll tell you what. It was Aubameyang was talking on Instagram to Arsenal Fan TV, and he said over the last 5-6 seasons, and maybe even more than that. And there's been a disconnection between fans and players. It's not been there. It's not like it was like in the old days. You know what I mean? Where they used to come out the clock end. Do you remember that? And walk round to the car park, and you'd bump into a couple of them, whatever. Those days are gone. But now, I think that Arsenal, as a club, for whoever has done that, has said, you know what, I'm going to try and bring that back. And what we do, how can we bring that back? Well, we can interact with the fans a little bit more. And probably, I'll tell you what I'll do, I'll walk to the ground. And, you know what I mean? I think it's such a refreshing thing as you think, like, all of a sudden, you feel a little bit more connected to the club. Now, if things did go wrong at Anfield, like, you feel like maybe that the club cares. And that's what's been my hardest thing over the last sort of 4 or 5 years. I felt that they haven't cared, Craig. If we look at that now, but I feel there is a connection that they do care because Edu walking through that thing today has brought back the fans together a little bit, like
Feel good
and I like it.
It's great to see. I mean, even I go back to social media. It's great to see even Twitter is not as bad as it used to be. With people, you can actually have a debate with someone now instead of them.
I think what's so great with Arsenal fans and what they've done in this way, and this is so different, and I'm so for it. There was 2 problems apparently: Kroenke out, Wenger out. Now that's stopped because it was time for change, which was nothing about Arsene Wenger going out, and it was "We care, do you?" If we would have got the banners up going Kroenke out, we wouldn't have got this response. And we have got a response because Josh has come and spoken. The signings have happened. He told us to be excited, which we are now excited about. And I've seen enough change over the past season to be excited. And I don't think fans can be too disappointed by that. I really don't.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what it all comes down to at the end of the day. We asked for what Lee's, turning your nose up there, but
No, I'm not pleased with that. I think it's dead right what he's saying there. Like, I feel.
Isn't it great to see?
It's great. I think it was also clever from the fans.
Wasn't it great as well to see a Kroenke in the ground?
Yes, he was there, which is great. And not only did he made sure that he was seen, Craig. Also,
yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not sitting at the back. He made sure he got to the front, stood up, and made sure he's seen to prove a point. To prove a point. You know what I mean? You can say it's staged. You can say, well, I think no. He is telling us that I'm here because I care. And I think if Arsenal fans have done one great thing with this, do you care campaign, like we care, do you care? I think it was whoever actually thought of that was very, very clever because it wasn't too hostile. It was
Exactly what I mean, mate. Exactly
It
what
was
I mean.
right to the point of what was needed to be said. So I'm absolutely delighted that the fans got together on that. It wasn't just, it was all fans that got together on that. There's no reason not to. And whether it made a difference or not, who knows? But at the end of the day, as a fan, you feel like it has.
Yep.
And do you know what? That's all that matters. You know what I mean? You
Absolutely.
feel that you've contributed. When I go to a game and I might criticise a player after the game. I might say this and that. But for that 90 minutes, I scream and I shout and I encourage to the end. You know what I mean? And then once it's finished, then I will say what I have to say. But during that 90 minutes, I feel I'll give it my all. And I come out and I think, do you know what? I've contributed. I might, you know what I mean? Because that's what fans do. That's our job, is to contribute in off the field. Now, if you feel that you've made Arsenal sign Pepe, who knows, Craig? Because at the end of the day, before that campaign came out, he wasn't at Arsenal. After that campaign came out, he was. So whether it did happen or not, who cares? I think that I made a contribution from that, Dan, as you do. Brilliant. We've made a contribution. Great.
And on that, we're going to have to end because we've gone over
getting
time.
going, Craig. It's getting going.
Just getting go. Well, if you could sort out your computer, it would have been a lot better, wouldn't it? We have a prior arrangement after this one.
Yes.
That's why I'm getting a bit worried because
10-2, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, we have to keep our appointments and all that. So it's been a good podcast. I think great story there from Lee about Granit Xhaka.
Cheers, Lee.
Dan, you have done an amazing job for being the anchor man this evening.
Yeah, well
thank
done,
you,
Dan.
thank you very much indeed, mate. You've been absolutely brilliant.
Thank you, Craig. Cheers, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thinking about sacking Lee, to be honest, but and thank you everyone who's been in the chat box. Thank you for watching. Over 200 of you watching live. Don't forget to like the video and share it with all your Gooner mates. Thank you to everyone who's watching on replay on YouTube, and of course, thank you to everyone who is listening to us on audio via iTunes, Spotify, or whatever it is you use. We'll see you next week. Not too sure what time, but check your Twitters. I'll post it out the day before. Hopefully, we'll be coming back and talking about another 3 points and a quality win at Anfield. Let's get a quick prediction. I'm going for 3-2 Arsenal. Dan?
Lee, you go first.
Heart says we can nick a draw, but in realistic fair, I think that Liverpool will be too strong for us, mainly because of our defence. So 3-1 to Liverpool for me.
I'm going to go 4-2 Liverpool. Sorry, boys.
Right, I'll be on my own next week. As long as it's not another 5-1, but I'm quietly confident. I'm quietly confident we can go up there and nick a result.
Listen, if we get a draw, I'll be happy, Craig.
I'd be delighted with a draw, but I think we can nick a win up there. So let's
hope so.
Let's hope so. See you all later. Thanks very much indeed. Until we see you again. Up the Arsenal.
Can you,